We're leaning towards quantum coupling. You
said quantum coupling. That made me think of the show Quantum Leap. That's a tangent and it's your fault.
Alright, here's a little breakdown of my skimmer. This is where this originally came from. This little piece goes down in there. It's part of a lightsaber, right? Kids, you put that goes in there with that piece there, and then you flick it, and this guy goes out. It's nice and big and long. So we're gonna use it, at least this part of it, to make a skimmer, protein skimmer. And the way I did that is I took this collection cup off of a different hang-on back skimmer that was never stable. A lousy protein skimmer that I spent $65 on plus delivery. It would be going really well. You tune it in, then all of a sudden in the middle of the night or in the morning or 24 or 48 hours, you never knew when it was going to happen. Something changed, and then all of a sudden the water started leaking out of here. It wouldn't even come out of here. It would come out of the top because it would just all of a sudden be really wet and just gush out of there. And it would pretty much just start sucking water. It wouldn't even be foam, it would be water that was sucking out of there, being sucked out of your aquarium. And the motor hangs down about 12 inches, maybe 8 inches, 8 to 12 inches below the water surface. And so all that 12 inches of water would be gone and on your floor. Depending on how big your tank is, that's how much water would end up on your floor. So what I did here instead is I went ahead and had this lime cork, whatever it is, and they call it lime cork. You can find them online, they're pretty cheap. I'm using this USB air pump. Here's the USB connector for it. You can plug that into a battery backup and it'll run even when your power goes out. Put on a Ryobi or something. And so what this is you put the bubbler down at the bottom, and then you have this collection cup at the top, and I do a little quick squeeze and a twist, and then it hangs on there. And in the past I've had this hanging on the rim of the aquarium. Now I'm going to kind of put it inside into my little internal sump. I've got a backflow preventer so we don't have water being siphoned back out of the tank. You don't want that. But I also have this hose connected to the top of the collection cup, because if it comes out slow, and I've tested it using this setup in a nano tank. Now we're going to go ahead and test it out in the big one. If it comes out nice and slow, nice and steady, then this does work. If for some reason it doesn't work, it's going to overflow back into the tank. So I'm not concerned about that, because I'm not. Oh, another thing that I've done here, sidetrack. I melted that little hole in there with the hot iron, and then I added a little tube. And it's one of those tees that you get with the airline. It's like an airline tee. And I ended up cutting it. That's what I was using to adjust the amount of air that's coming up here, as I was using that tee. And it ended up working. That the size of that hole was the perfect size that I needed to fill this particular collection cup and get the skimmate the way you wanted it. But another way to tune it is you raise or lower this on the water level. That's the main way that it gets, as long as you've got the air going in there correctly. And it's going to depend what kind of pump you have, how much power it's putting out, and that kind of thing. But if you didn't have all that, you could just use any kind of bottle. It's a Gatorade bottle. Now there's tubes. If you didn't even have a lightsaber tube, you don't have kids that like Star Wars, well, I can't help you there. But you can go to your Home Depot, your Lowe's, and they have tubes like this that are clear, and that might actually look nicer, but this is going inside where you can't see it anyway. But they have clear tubes in the T5 bulb department. Like if you go to your lighting department of your box store, they have tubes, long, I think they're like 4-foot tubes that you can put your light bulbs inside, your fluorescent lighting inside those tubes, and it protects the tube from breaking. Anyway, you can grab one of those tubes. They're like $5, I think. I can't remember how much they are, but you could easily put that on there too, and that would fit in there. If it didn't fit in there, it'd fit around there. You could melt it with a heat gun and get it to fit in there, or you could cut this and then melt it with a heat gun to fit on your tube. So yeah, multiple ways. There's lots of different bottles you could probably use. So I've stuck it in the tank here, and I kind of sort of have tuned it up a little bit. That's why you have some really wet skimmate in there. I've got the overflow dropping down over here into a container. Let's see if that works. If it doesn't work, it's just going to go right into the tank. It's going to bubble off the top out of those holes and then go right into the tank, which would be well, that's if it doesn't work, right? Hopefully it's going to work. I might need to turn this down a little bit. But anyway, I wish I would have cleaned that out a little bit better, but let's see if we can get it going. Computer, bubbles on. Okay, we can see right now the bubbles are starting to come up. Just barely see it. Now they're going to kind of bubble up to the top there. You can see it slowly coming over the top. And the way I tune this is to raise it up and down out of the water. But in addition, you can see there that extra little tube that I have stuck into the side. That's allowing water to come out. So water's flowing, it's water and bubbles. Water's flowing up through the tube, coming out there, and the skimmate is hopefully just trickling out of there. It's still kind of wet, isn't it? I might need to lift it up a little higher. Another way to tune it is to pull the bubbler from the bottom. Oops. Pull this hose up a little higher, bring the bubbler up a little higher, and that'll cause, or higher or lower, and that'll cause more or less water to be sucked out of there. So let's just see how that goes. Okay, so here's the skimmer. I let it run overnight, and it filled up a little bit. Well, I mean, it filled up all the way. You can see some of the skimmate started to come out, which is good. The reason that I did empty it out just a little bit is because I was cutting this. Might as well plop it on now. I was cutting my top to fit there, and when I was manipulating that to measure stuff, I moved it around and dumped it off. I think my system is not working. Looks like we've got, our foam might be just a little too thick. Yeah, it's just squeezing out of the holes that are in the top of the sky, and it's not quite filling up to the level of the drain, is it? Oh, we're gonna have to get into a whole new battle. What a crack up. This is what happens when you try to innovate on your own over here. Take a look. You see, I kind of was alluding. I went ahead and switched to an Odwalla juice, a little tiny miniature Odwalla juice cup, and you can see the skimmate. I have it turned off right now. You can see the skimmate is pretty clear. It's dirty. It's got some gunk in it. But anyway, this cup works really well. I need to put another hole in the cup because, as it turns out, you need to have some breathing going on in here. That's probably why the other collection cup had holes in it. So there needs to be some breathing in here, because when you're forcing air bubbles up into this chamber, they're kind of there's a pressure developing in there. And when the water gets up to the level of the little hose in the back, then it starts to compress, and it doesn't want to do its job very well. So doing a couple things here. One, I need to be able to slide this all the way back, and it can't right now. So I'm going to cut another hole over here. I'm measuring that. I'm going to have to duct tape that hole. What am I at here? Let's see. Sharpie letter H. That's about here. And here. All right, so I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to also go get the hot iron and pop a hole in the top there. Hey, look at that. First time's a charm. Okay, let's get those bubbles turned on. Bubbles! Here they come. Probably a little too fast, huh? Let's skim that sucker. Or let's adjust that sucker, excuse me. Woo! Stop. Whoa. Way too fast. Look at that. How is it going? So darn high. Alright, we're turning the bubbles off. I obviously need to readjust this. I do have 2 of those nano pumps on there. It wasn't enough when I first had it turned on. I'm gonna unplug one. See what happens. These little nano air pumps. I had 2 of them plugged in into the one hose because when I first had it, the one just wasn't quite doing it. So I plugged in 2, and that seemed to work. Let's see now. We'll go ahead and turn those bubbles on again with just one pump plugged in. I can hear them, but they're definitely not coming up. Just at the surface there. Here, I'll pop the camera off. That's kind of where it needs to be for right now. Even that might be coming on a little too strong for a first startup because eventually it's going to really... It's kind of cool because you can adjust either by adjusting the airflow down there at the bottom or lifting this up and down. And since I have stuff, carbon and activated carbon, and I have my filter floss in there, I'm able to slide that up and down, no problem. So we'll just let that percolate. Keep an eye on it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit down and have a cup of coffee. I forgot to poke my hole in the top. That's what I need to do. Got the hot iron out. Going to go ahead and poke a hole. There we go. Breathe. Well, I don't know what to say, but as far as video is concerned, this is pretty sad. It was working, I promise you it was working. That's why there's water down in that tub. Sometimes, you know, when they talk about breaking in skimmers, what's really happening is the bubbles are creating a little wall of slime on the inside of that tube, and it uses that to climb up faster, and it just kind of balances out at some point. But we'll go ahead and leave that on for a while. I'll come back and check it every 10 to 15 minutes and see what's going on. Might be that I'll have to put a little flow adjuster on here for the air. That way I can get exactly to where I want it every single time with both of the pumps on. Spicy Reef here, signing off.
Now what are you doing?
I think I got it.
How do you know if it's up or down?